a Polish guy who had died about 10 years ago, but during World War II he had snuck into a concentration camp and been smuggled out and then told the world about the camps for the first time, pretty much. And so, so in the speech, I originally had the president saying the name of the camp that he snuck into, and so the morning of the speech I was a little bit worried about how the pronunciation was going to go, so I called the Holocaust Museum and asked them to tell me how to pronounce it. And they did, and it was really complicated, so I was like, I'm just going to take it out. So I took it out and I put in Polish concentration camp instead, not knowing that that is the worst thing you can say to Polish people because it implies that they were running the camps. Which, like, you know, in America you would never, like, even pretend to imply that, but like they're just very sensitive about it. So it went out to the final list of people, nobody said anything. Apparently the only guy who had caught it was not there that day. And so the president says this in front of the world. And so it's about 3 o'clock in the morning in Poland, and Twitter explodes. And of course, like, I have no idea why this happened. And and then by the next morning, the president of Poland is demanding that Obama apologize to him and to all Poles. And so, I mean, like 35 million people are pissed off. So I, of course, I'm like, oh my God, how did this happen? I think I'm going to be fired. And but luckily, Favreau and my other bosses were like, don't worry, like, we didn't catch it either. Nobody could have caught it. And the president was kind of wondering how this happened too, and they luckily kind of protected me. But he ended up having to write a letter to the president of Poland, like, apologizing. And I was like, hey guys, like, let me help with this letter. Like, I feel like I should fix this. And they're like, no, you're good. You're done. No. And so, and the funny part was, so it washed over, but my roommate at the time was Polish, and I came home that night, and he was like, what the fuck, man? He was showing me all these newspaper headlines in Poland that were just going after Obama. And so eventually the president of Poland was like, okay, we understand this is a staff problem. If you ever want to send your staff over here to be re-educated, feel free. And so from now on, like, whenever I make a mistake, my bosses threaten to send me to Poland, to the concentration camps with the president of Poland, which I'm sure would not be a great time. But it's a lesson as to, like, why, you know, we get annoyed with our fact checkers because we have to prove every little thing we say in the speech, and sometimes we're like, oh, it's going to be fine, just let it go. But they serve a very important purpose, and when they don't, when something slips through, it can be a huge issue. So it's also a lesson that everything the president says, whether he creates it or not, is ultimately his responsibility. So, you know, you don't want to make mistakes for your own job, but you also don't want to make mistakes because it makes him look bad.
And also, you were trying to do the right? You were anticipating a mistake, which is that people would be offended if you pronounced it wrong. So you did anticipate that you wanted to offend anyone, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, going off of that, last week we talked about jokes and speeches, and obviously there's nothing to joke about. But the president was speaking at the Fortune's Powerful Women's thing, and his seal fell off. And his seal fell off the thing, and he made a joke about it, whatever. But he said, but he also joked on to the staff and was like, somebody's back there really, really nervous and like sweating their pants right now. Like, why is that? Like, when the principals are so cool about it, and you see this with celebrities all the time, where the principal or the celebrity or whatever is so cool in a situation, but their staff is just so nervous, which makes the situation, even for the person who just wants to, like, either shake their hand or whatever, really, really nervous as well.
Well, I think it depends on your boss, because, you know, I'm sure some bosses would joke about it on stage and then come back and be like, who was that? Like, I want him out of here. But, you know, Obama's actually pretty nice about it. He, you can tell when he's kind of mad, he's kind of quiet, and kind of disappointed looking. But he doesn't yell. I think, I think the staff, like, you're always worried about making the boss look bad. And whether he's mad about it or not, like, you don't want it to happen. So I think, I'm sure the guys who own the seal are mad at themselves. But, you know, ultimately everybody's going to make a mistake after a while, so you just let it go.